Well, welcome.
How you doing, sir?
Great, man. How you feeling?
Looking forward to doing this for a while, so let's get this thing popping.
Introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Capital J. I'm a disc jockey slash everything involved in music and radio.
And I think it's important if we let the listeners know where we are, city and state.
Well, right now we're broadcasting live from Durham, North Carolina. This is the Raleigh-Durham area, but we're in the actual city of Durham.
Okay. Okay. You said that with your chest out too.
Yeah, I had to let people know they think it's like Winston-Salem. Winston-Salem is one city, not Winston and Salem. Raleigh-Durham is two different cities, Raleigh and Durham.
I hope nobody made that mistake. Winston and Salem.
Hey, man, if you're not from around these parts, I don't blame you.
Right. North Carolina got a lot going on. And we were talking about hip hop and I guess the history of hip hop and North Carolina in particular. Because I read two different articles. One was in, I think I said 2020, but it was actually 2019. And the other one was in 2012. And both of them said that rap started in North Carolina with Petey Pablo and J. Cole.
You know what? That's a good place to start. This is our first show, ladies and gentlemen. So, the best place to start, our first show broadcast from Durham, North Carolina, is, I guess, let's talk about where did hip-hop start in North Carolina?
Interesting.
I mean, okay, historically, I think most people in agreement would say that hip-hop started in the Bronx, early 70s, let's say it was 72-ish, Cool Herc, you know, that says a party that really is the catalyst of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, it's been growing, right?
Right.
79, you had a real rap record out, your boy King Tim the Third, the Fatback Band. And then
79.
Yep, and then Rapper's Delight came out, which is an actual record by rappers because the Fatback Band was not rappers.
Okay.
So that's all happening up in New York, New Jersey, Sugar Hill Records. And then, this is North Carolina. We got the Carolinas. The first girl rap group comes out of the Carolinas in 1981, 81. We're talking about Sequence. So there goes the first Carolina connection right there. That's
Early
Sequence, right? Three girls. Angie B was later became Angie Stone. She was a part of that group. They were from, I think, Anderson, South Carolina.
Wow.
The next connection that I can say would have been a national connection to hip hop from North Carolina, let's say fast forward to about 1987, 88.
Okay.
The Busy Boys from Greensboro, you had a record label called Payroll Records
Okay.
in Greensboro. And the Busy Boys was a rap group that consisted of, let me see, the Rhythm Fanatic, Will Ski, Dana Lucci.
Oh wow. Dana Lucci left.
Yeah, back then he was Mixmaster D. He's no longer with us. God rest his soul. But
Okay.
he was one of the original Busy Boys. And you had Billy DeVour. You had, you had the guys, a lot of people loosely affiliated with that movement. But the actual group, guys that were rapping and doing the DJing, Fanatic, Ski, Dana, they're doing the heavy lifting for the Busy Boys.
Right.
This is the late 80s, 88. It would be nothing to go to New York and hear the Busy Boys on a mix show on New York radio.
Yeah.
So at that time, North Carolina, you had a North Carolina group making an impact nationally in hip hop as early as 1988, 87, 88.
Wow. Well, you can't discount the group sequence.
Nah.
And if I'm assuming here, if Angie Stone wasn't a part of that group, her career may not have gone where it has gone now at this point.
Honestly, Angie Stone is so doggone talented
I could tell.
that she probably would have
Anyway,
would have heard her anyway.
I was trying to own it.
Yeah, because she also was part of that group Vertical Hold, and they
Okay.
put a song out in probably around 92, 93. Is Seems You're Much Too Busy for Me, and yeah, I remember at that time I was like, wow, she had a 10-year hiatus and
Right.
came back with an R&B band. Then she took like another 6, 7 year hiatus and came back as just Angie Stone.
So, I know if you were paying attention to music then in North Carolina on that level, you were of age. So, where were you in life, and how was this music impacting you?
Let me see. During that time, I was in Tarboro, North Carolina.
Hmm.
So, you know, I come from a group of a family that's pretty musical, and a lot of cousins who live in New York, Connecticut,
Hmm.
and they always coming back and forth with music. So,
Right.
I was able to stay up on what's happening,
On what?
on the latest music.
What was the music on back then?
Um, I was getting stuff like Roxanne early, the show.
Albums or tapes?
This would be direct tapes recorded off the radio in New York.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right. And then my cousins would bring them down. I get a copy and I got everything, a nice hour and a half of music nobody ever heard before.
No internet.
Right. No internet. So, you get a hold of stuff like that. And I wasn't that aware of what was going on in Greensboro with those guys.
Right.
But, they were making big moves. But that, for some reason, hadn't reached me. I found out more about what was going on with them when I actually moved to Greensboro and found out how much had been done already.
Right. Right.
You know?
So, I heard you mention mixtapes earlier. So, how'd that start? How you want to put that first mixtape together? A mixtape
That started-
nowadays would be what they consider a playlist.
Right. I think that started, honestly, I think it started as a way to get money in high school.
Oh, okay.
You know?
It's high school. Okay.
I was one of those guys that bought everything. I wanted every album that came out.
Right.
So I would pick the best songs. Even before I would mix them up, I would just pick the best songs and take them off all the albums and put them on one tape and try to sell those tapes.
Okay. Okay.
And then later when I started DJing, I was like, just mix these up and put it out like that.
Right.
But it started, as a ploy to sell music.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Well, I guess it proved to be beneficial, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It take you a long way. Like all these, you start dealing with this music, man. You meet people on their way up, and then you just look at what happens to them throughout their careers, and you see yourself growing too.
Mm-hmm.
Like as long as you've been doing what you've been doing, you met people. I'm pretty sure somebody. You're like, wow, look what they're doing now. Like let's take the Busy Boys for example. We talk about how they came through. Rhythm Fanatic ended up producing the song on Michael Jackson's album. And that song, I think the album might have won a Grammy or something. Or if it gets nominated for a Grammy, then he's a Grammy nominated producer. You see what I mean?
Price go up.
Right. Will Ski produced Jay-Z's first album. Most of the songs on that first Jay-Z album produced by Will Ski from the Busy Boys.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Right. So he had years in before he even linked up with Jay-Z.
Right. So,
and he's still doing things now.
Oh yeah, he's staying busy.
Right.
Camp Low is responsible for the Camp Low run.
Mm-hmm.
Lucchini, all of that. So guys still working, and to get some longevity, you got to start somewhere.
Right. And so let's talk a little bit about your roles throughout your musical career. And where did you start, and where are you now?
I started strictly as a DJ. You know, I wrote the occasional rap, but it started as a DJ. Got into producing. I have done radio for 11 years, mixed show, morning show.
Where at?
That was at 102 Jams in Greensboro.
Okay, 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
Damn. So what years were those?
1996 to 2007.
Oh shit! So you saw the change.
Yeah, I saw a lot change during that time period.
Yeah.
You know, I would say I came in probably at the end of the golden era.
The 90s he referring to.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, I would say that the golden era would consist of the time that the world discovered hip hop was good.
Yeah.
Until the World Trade Centers fell.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
You know, that was the golden era for hip hop.
Right. So, what'd you witness? What did you witness? You know, from being because you're not just a regular consumer of music, you're a DJ and you on the radio.
Yeah, I saw the biggest change that I saw was what was acceptable, what was being pushed to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to think we just we were a few years away from the country going crazy over Luke's records.
Right.
And less than 10 years later, Put It In Your Mouth is on the radio. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was a huge change, just watching people change what's acceptable. You know, it's like, hey, this is unacceptable in 1991.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now it's like, I don't mind in 1997. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it.
That radio station, when I did live in Greensboro for a little while, but when I was listening to that radio station, I always said, if you want to hear the real song, listen to that station.
Yeah.
And I remember one morning I was listening to it, and I don't know where I was going, but I was listening, and that Trina song had just come out. Something about the sunshine. I think it was something like her pussy so good that it's like sunshine or something.
Right.
And so about the third or fourth morning, one of the DJs, and I forget his name, but he said on the show that he thought that was going to be his last show because he didn't like the direction of the music list. And I don't think I heard him on the radio since then. But that says a lot, you know.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
I didn't, you know, that change in radio is something that I can tell you, I honestly struggle with it. When I first came into radio, I came in as a defender of one's right to say whatever you want to in an artistic setting. Then I taught school for a little while.
Okay. What grade?
I had 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And during that time period, I realized the impact of what these artists were saying on young, impressionable minds. And I changed my stance a little bit.
Because you heard the conversation they were having and the stuff they were saying.
Well, I saw how before Akinyele put it in your mouth, in the black community, that oral sex was a bit taboo. And a date with a black woman often didn't end with a blowjob.
Right.
And no girl was proud of how good she gave one. If she gave you a good one, you better be quiet about it. If you tell anybody, you'll never get another one from her. And flip to today, and I honestly could say it's because of that song. And anybody who wants to disagree with me, I want you to just, if you can count them up, count how much oral sex you got before, and I want you to think about your life since then. Seriously. the power of music. So
it.
that's a huge change. Like when they started allowing different things to go on the radio, I saw the culture change.
They took the club out of the club.
Yeah, it wasn't even just the club. It's our societal values changed with the music.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? That's something that people, people miss that a lot. You don't understand that.
But who do you blame for that?
It's a 50-50. A lot of people say, well, this is what they push, and they push it for a reason. Well, I can truthfully say it wasn't always what they pushed.
Right.
So, there was a time when anything that filthy was frowned upon, and the record labels didn't want anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
We, as the consumers, said this is what we like. We bought it. So the record label said, well, if it's profitable, then I'm going to sell it.
Right.
Now it's pushed because it's profitable.
Right. Now it's pushed because it's profitable.
With no thought as to whether it's damaging or not. Now, is there some blame in that? Yes. Is there also some accountability now that we understand that our own product is hurting us? Yes. Right. So, everybody's accountable.
At this point, yes.
Right. Another change.
Mm-hmm.
I saw hip-hop go from not that profitable to extremely profitable to not that profitable again.
Right.
That was a huge change,
It's like you said, the golden era, they all the gold was mined. They mined all the gold.
Right.
And now if you strike gold, whoo, it's so competitive. Now, do you think North Carolina is competitive?
As a whole, no. We have talent, and we can always strike with the talent here and there, but we won't be competitive as a state until we get a sound, an identifiable sound.
Mm-hmm. You talked about that before.
Yeah, it's going to take an identifiable sound to get more than one person to blow.
Right.
And if I could just go through some examples. The sound of Compton. When you think about Compton, it's not just NWA, it's DJ Quick, Sabah the Law, it's everybody.
They had beef with each other, but their music still had
that sound, and you recognized it.
Right.
And the record labels did too. So when NWA was popping on a certain sound, then the other cats are like, hey man, if this is what they're looking for,
why not?
There's more of us out here.
Right.
But us here in North Carolina, Petey Pablo came out and he had a sound and nobody else sounded like Petey Pablo anywhere. Now, I'm not saying you can't copy whatever fire he has. That's him.
Right.
But he was working with whatever producers helped him create that sound. Right. Whatever it is, it came out of here. People liked it. It's different than everything else.
Right.
That's a direction that maybe some other people should have explored traveling.
Right.
Nobody even went down that lane.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, your boy who the track, I hate myself that I can't remember his name, but it's a North Carolina track called Home of the Liquor House. And he that sound, he kept that sound alive. I ain't really hear too much from him after that.
Right.
Because I was out of state or whatever. But the craziest thing to me was that I was living in Chicago in 2005. In 2004, I moved to Chicago. And the cable guy came over, little Asian dude.
Uh-huh.
And so he asked me where was I from. And I told him North Carolina. And he went fucking crazy. He said, turn some little brother on.
Ah.
I said, what?
Yeah.
He said, turn some little brother on. I said, I don't know what you talking about. Then I had to go find out who Little Brother was.
You know something? I was working at a radio station
Mm-hmm.
in Greensboro.
Mm-hmm.
These cats were from North Carolina, but I think at the time the record label they were signed to might have been like out in California somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm used to cats from North Carolina put a record out. You kind of see them go through their process.
Right.
I didn't see that happen with Little Brother.
Right.
They would like their process was happening somewhere else.
Yes.
So
Because
their success kind of it didn't have the homegrown feel.
Right.
Like I didn't even get the record. Like I'm at the radio station. You get promos at the station all the time.
Right.
I didn't get a record at the station. Nothing came to the house. It wasn't for sale at the store.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't get that record until I went to a music seminar in Durham. They had this a long time ago, probably around 2000 sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And by then the song had kind of run its course.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody was giving out some promo copies there, and that's how I got a copy. So it's like and you know me.
Right.
I play all North Carolina stuff.
Right.
I just couldn't even get my hands on any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So, and I think it was because the label wasn't from here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because when he was telling me about them, they were on tour, like overseas somewhere.
Right.
And yeah, so by the time I came back, I think they was coming off tour or something. And then next thing I know, they was separated from Ninth. I felt like Ninth had a blueprint. If he got that kind of exposure for something that won't homegrown, and not to say they not from here, but
yeah. Now the thing is, like everybody from North Carolina love them dudes. Like
Right.
they got love.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like they didn't have the love. It was just I didn't have the record.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And yeah, like I don't even think they like at the time when that record was out. I don't remember a promo tour. Like how artists come through, visit the station,
Right.
be like, "Yo, we got a record out." Like there was none of that.
J. Cole.
At least not in Greensboro. J. Cole's always been. I don't ever remember a time where J. Cole wasn't fairly, accessible. Like at least in my memory. Because he was out even when I was still on radio way back in 2007. He was already out then back in the day. Like when he was on his come up, he was working in the office. Mm-hmm. So as a radio DJ, he's one of the guys that would call asking me about, did we get around to playing other people's records over the weekend? Hey,
Right.
did you get the such record?
Right.
But yeah, he worked his way up, man. But as far as being accessible and being here doing interviews, and like he's always seemed to have done all he can whenever he can. Like if you need him for a seminar or whatever, I don't recall him turning down much that he can get to.
Right. So what you got going on nowadays? What do you do now?
I've been working for Media Base since 2000. And they're the guys that collect your spins, tally up your spins when you put a record out. And it's a division of Clear Channel, which turned into iHeartRadio. So basically, I work for iHeartRadio. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've been doing that for 20 years.
That's dope.
Yep. It's it's a cool job because I get to listen to radio all over the country. And that's keeps you on top of things. That's another thing I see radio changing. Like you talk about what changes have I seen during this time period.
Right.
I've been working this job since 2000. So for 7 years, I worked this job and was on the radio too.
Mm-hmm.
So during that time period, I saw radio change. It went from there was a time when every station in the country was playing the same thing, and then I saw it go back to this regional feel. When I started, people were playing. Every little area of the country had about 3 or 4 songs that were just theirs.
Right.
Then it got to a point where everybody was on the same thing. Like even New York's playing Trick Daddy. You know what I'm saying? It's like all the same everywhere. and then it's back to regional again. You know,
Okay.
everybody got their own artists again, and you know, it makes it a lot more interesting.
Well, I listen to 97.5 a lot, and I don't ever really hear, except when they have like a local artist spotlight or something. I don't really hear. It's a couple tracks. Not to say I don't hear it, you know, but I don't really hear the local music, and you know, it's a lot of talent out here. So, and I always wonder why. So,
You know, sometimes you hear local stuff mixed in there, and it just sounds so much like everything else. You don't recognize that a local song just went right on by, and that speaks to the quality getting better.
okay,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
Yeah, I used to think, you know, once I started doing this media base, I'm looking like, oh, you know, I'm researching songs and finding out, oh, these guys from Raleigh, you know.
right.
Yeah, they play some.
What catch your ear? And the reason why I ask that, because you hear a lot.
Well, since my job is tracking down music that basically hasn't been tracked, then I guess anything I never heard before is gonna stick out. So that's how I'm basically, you know, if there is a local song somewhere, usually it's gonna fall on me to go track that joker down. So, yeah, anything I hadn't heard before, you know.
How's that work though? You find a song, like what do you mean you find it?
Well, the whole deal is identifying music, so that there'll be an accurate record of what's been played on radio. So anytime somebody drops just a new random song, of course, you know, there's no record of it anywhere. Somebody got to figure out what is this song. That's me. You know what I'm saying?
So how do you do that?
Oh man, it's like being a detective, but you know, you always got you always have your identification tools, but usually when it's something like that, Shazam, SoundHound is not going to catch it. So the next thing, you know, listen for back sales. That's when the jock tells you what the name of the song is. And, you know, I can go back and see if there's a point where anybody said the name of the song or the artist. Then even when they do, you know how hip hop artists are. Like a dude's name might be Jay Grizzle. And I got to figure out how he spelled J. Is it the letter J? Does it have a period? Is it Grizzle? You know, how is he Grizzle? You know what I mean? Like everybody Grizzle different, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, it takes a while sometimes. But yeah, I have ended up calling people's houses before. You know, I done track artists down at their house.
To tell about some money.
Nah, it ain't even about the money.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get accurate information so I can put this in on my job. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you go through all these avenues and you might find a Instagram account, and then you follow this little trail, and next thing you know, you got their home number or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, this is
Okay.
Hey, you the one that made that song. They playing in Birmingham.
Okay, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I met some interesting people like that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll track you down though.
What's the craziest story you heard that you ran across doing that though?
Oh man, good gracious. There is a Southern Soul cat, man. I tracked him down. He still called trying to get a gig set up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it.
He's trying to get a gig at TJ's.
Yeah. Is he local?
Nah, he's from Birmingham.
Oh, okay. You gotta wait till they lift these restrictions.
Hey, man, he's always checking in.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, have you seen the uptick since the coronavirus been going on? And the reason why I ask that, because, you know, people in the house more now. So I assume they consuming more music.
Well, see, I don't really get to see, I don't really get to see that side of it. All I do is just track the music. And,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
After that, it's out of my hands. But I would assume that radio is getting a bump.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I would also say the industry's probably been suffering a little bit. You know, we're talking about, you know, another change I saw during the time that I was there was how much people needed radio to get their music.
Mm.
When I started, you know, I started at a good time because, you know, here I am. I got a brand new record.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing it, and that's the only place you gonna hear it. Period.
Okay.
You can't go on YouTube and listen to it anytime you want.
Right.
You can't stream it.
Right.
The only place you can hear it is when I play it.
Is when you play it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not coming on when I leave. You see what I'm saying? I'm taking the record with me. So, you know, that type of power doesn't exist.
No more.
That type of power to debut a record. You don't have that power anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know? The artists used to, they wanted 100,000 people to hear it. They send it to you. Well, they couldn't post it on SoundCloud. They couldn't make their own video and put it on YouTube. You see what I'm saying?
Right. But at the same time, do you think that because I keep hearing that radio is a dying breed, but I think about how much I listen to the radio.
It's not dying. Its impact is lessening. And you know it's a little bit different. Like, you know, something can shrink without dying. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, you know, radios used to be a juggernaut, you know, in media. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have that same doesn't hold that role anymore. But it won't die. You know?
Okay.
It's kind of like television.
Right.
You know, cable came, everybody's like, oh, it's the end of TV. Nah. It's just, it changed the way people watch TV. You know, at one time, CBS, ABC, NBC were the only stations you could watch. So they controlled everything. They got all the viewers. Mm-hmm. They didn't die when cable came.
Yeah.
Radio's not going to die now that you can get music in other places.
And I think about how accessible cars are to other forms of other ways of getting music, and I think that a lot of people consume music in their cars, but it's either through an aux cord or Bluetooth or something. So, because when people get in my car and they hear me listening to the radio, it's like, man, I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing that radio gives you over everything else is news and what's happening right now.
Where you are.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
True.
Even some of the advertisements, you know, some people, hey, if nothing else, you know what club is popping.
Right.
You listen to the radio.
Listen to the radio.
Right. How you gonna know when McDonald's got 2 for $5? Listen to the radio.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with the Fire Stick being out there. So, have you worked with any artists in North Carolina?
Oh, man. I've worked with so many artists in North Carolina. It's insane. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. That list would be way too long. But I haven't done much with many artists lately. You know, hip-hop, being involved in it heavily is kind of like a sports career. You know, your best time is probably around the same time an athlete's at his prime.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And there are cats who can Tom Brady's in hip-hop, who can stay relevant and stay involved at that level. But for the most part, the game is for the young man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a young man's game, and you get to the other side of it one day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can stay involved in the music, but that everyday part of it, living it every day and being out there with people who are quote unquote relevant today. Yeah, that's that's for younger people and the people who got the energy for it and the time for it. You know, they're around the same age as athletes at their prime.
Right. Where are you paying attention to anybody in North Carolina?
I'm wondering if the baby's run is going to cause any type of avalanche for some other people.
Okay.
You know, that would be nice to see.
Or you think it's a shift happening now? I know he got
The Stunner for Vegas
Yeah.
down there. I don't know. I'm not aware of anybody else. You know, they keep right on making these lists of people like, you know, top next to blow, North Carolina. But I can't think of anybody right now.
Right.
You know, just right off the top of my head. There's a lot of people that throw songs out here and there. But I haven't seen anybody on a roll.
Right.
You know, but somebody will get on one sooner or later, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's a lot of talent out here. I keep saying that.
Yeah.
Something's got to change.
Yeah, man. I don't, you know, the market is saturated, unfortunately. You know.
Well, I think one way to help is media, like this right here. You know, putting the information out there and, you know, keeping it, because this is just the beginning. We're going to keep our ear to the street. And Capital J has so much knowledge when it comes to this, the business of music, not just the music business. Because, you know, you can find out about the music business on Google. But the actual business of music is something totally different.
Yeah.
And
just said business. That's the last thing I seen change.
the
The
business,
money.
the money.
Man. They were throwing so much money around.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Right.
It was ridiculous. Up until the World Trade Centers fell. You know, they used to just waste money. I saw record labels, they would waste money.
Why you think because that's the second time you mentioned that, why you think that was such an impact on it?
It was an impact because it made people chase all this fake stuff. Like, you know, you got people like look at videos.
Right.
You don't know nobody with a Ferrari. Right?
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of rappers you ain't never seen, heard before.
Right.
And, you know, first video, everybody in the mansion throwing money, pouring bottles on girls
Right.
with a Ferrari and a Lamborghini in the yard. Now, you ain't never heard of this dude. And, you know, I appreciate, you know, but all that came from this era. That era when people were just throwing money around. It set a standard for how things are going to be for the next few years that really ruined everything. It made hip-hop expensive, and hip-hop used to not be expensive. You know, we used to go to our parties for $5, dance all night. And for $5, you might be able to drink free beer all night, you know. And all of a sudden, things started, you know, this millionaire mentality crept into the game. And, you know, the record labels were perpetuating it. You know, everybody was living the life. You know, the economy was good. There was money just everywhere. You know, everybody had rims on their car. Think about it. You know, dude working at UPS, sitting on 20s. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody was living a life.
Right.
And it caused a lot of waste.
But you think about where it came from, though. Because, you know, one thing about hip-hop, even at my age, that I noticed about it is that it changes, and depending on the time period is depending on what music is, I guess, commercial or popularized. And in the 90s, it was that gangster, the hood nigga.
Hey, but it was the hood there with the money. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to show some money too.
Yeah.
And that started creeping in. You know, he started getting away from DMX more towards the Mace. You know what I'm saying? You know, he was DMX was the last grimy dude left, and he was hanging on. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to be dirty, but everybody was all clean. You know, they were clean with money in their pocket. And he was like, "No, that ain't how we doing. You know, ain't how it is, dog." He wanted to keep the Timbs on. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to keep it gritty. Sure. But the industry was going a different direction, man. It got all polished, and now everybody wearing tight pants and pink shirts. I ain't complaining. I'm just saying, they just go different direction, man. You know.
I think I heard, I forgot who it was, but somebody said if you Google rapper, that's what you see.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just Google the word rapper, and that's what you see, those images.
Yeah, boy.
And, you don't see this stuff before. But I think it's some of the younger artists are kind of talented if you take the time and consume their music.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that think that what's going on today doesn't have any artistic merit.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like I told you before, man, anybody can make a song I love.
Right.
And I'm not gonna hold it against you if I don't like your style.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So we're gonna dig deeper into some of these stories in these coming episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. While we sit down and chat, this is the first one. What'd you think about it?
Hey man, I'm ready to do more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, I dig this.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
All right.
So
yeah, we got more to come.
Yeah, matter of fact, we're gonna pick a topic for next week right now.
Okay.
Let's come up with something right now.
Okay.
Let's talk about. All right, we were on the topic of North Carolina and North Carolina hip hop. We're gonna talk about people from North Carolina and their impact in this hip hop world.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And people and the ones that have impacted North Carolina and beyond. The heavyweights.
Gotcha.
We're gonna get in there, dude. How about that?
And it's a few.
And we'll start focusing on that.
Okay.
You know, because I'm sure we can go a whole lot deeper than the Busy Boys.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like a plan to me. So stay tuned. Overheretv.com is where you can find the podcast, and we're gonna bring them to you every week.
Every week. Let's go.
All right.